Hello and welcome to the Biopsych Structured Advanced Query Page Quick Start webinar. I'm Alex Shearer for SRI's Bioinformatics Research Group, and in this webinar we're going to introduce you to the Structured Advanced Query Page, explain why you might want to use it, and show you very quickly how it works. Please check out the full-length Structured Advanced Query Page webinar for detailed instructions on how to use it and several fully worked examples. The Structured Advanced Query Page lets you run more complex searches than the quick search and subject area searches that are also available on the Biopsych site. It requires a little bit more understanding of how our databases are structured, but at the same time, it'll teach you a lot about how they're structured and a lot about the biology of the organisms. The Structured Advanced Query Page also lets you search iteratively, adding on to your searches so that you can narrow their focus, add more detail, or change things around to find out what you need. You can get to the Structured Advanced Query Page from the search menu at the top of each page. You go to Search, Advanced, and click on that. This is the Structured Advanced Query Page. It's broken down into 4 parts based on the parts of putting together and understanding a query. You have the actual query area where you build your query, then you have the area where you select your output, then where you select the output format, and then where you submit. And I want to point out 2 things about the page. One is that you're actually going to see the page restructure itself as we make the query, and 2, when I mouse over something, look in the upper left and you'll see a tooltip explaining what I'm looking at. In this case, explaining the database object that I'm looking at. Now, let's consider an example query. What if I want to look in Metapsych and ask for a list of all the pathways contained in that database? Well, we're going to query Metapsych for pathways. And this brings up an important point. Queries in the Structured Advanced Query Page should read like sentences. They should make sense. So in this case, we query Metapsych for pathways. And down here, we can choose our output. By default, it's set right now to name, reaction list, and taxonomic range. Let's get rid of this third column. And over here, instead of name, instead of reaction list, let's pick synonyms so that we'll get the names and synonyms. That seems like a good thing to know. And down here, we'll click Submit. And here are our results. We have 1,495 results, so about 1,500 pathways in Metapsych. And we have the name column on the left and the synonym column on the right. And each of these columns is sortable. For example, we can flip the order on the name column by pressing this arrow here. Now what if we want to narrow our search, add some additional conditions? Well, we can do that. Let's get rid of our results here, and we see that our original query page is still there. The results are always spawned as an additional page so that you can continue to iterate your original query. So let's say we want all the bacterial pathways in Metapsych. So we're querying Metapsych for pathways, and now we're going to add a condition where we're going to require that the taxonomic range contain bacteria. So once again, our query should read like a sentence. Let's look in Metapsych for pathways where the name of the taxonomic range contains bacteria, and submit. And here we go. This time around, we have 766 results. So about half as many as we had before. And again, names, synonyms, all sortable. Excellent. So we've learned how to narrow a search. Now what if we want to take these results and use them to ask a question about a different database in Biopsych? We can do that too. Back on the original query page, we're going to need to add an additional search component, which we do here. And we pick E. coli, say. Now again, reading like a sentence. So we've looked in Metapsych for pathways where the taxonomic range contained bacteria, and now we're going to take that list of pathways that met those conditions and look in E. coli for pathways, and we need to add a condition where the common name is equal to the common name of the pathways from Metapsych. So once again, our whole query is looking in Metapsych for pathways with the taxonomic range of bacteria, and then taking that list of pathways and looking for pathways in EcoCyc with matching common names. Basically, we had this list of 766. How many of them are present in E. coli? Down at the bottom, adding this condition added a third column. Let's just get rid of that. And we have our same output, and we hit submit. And here we are, 197 results. So we started by asking how many metabolic pathways are in Metapsych, and we came up with about 1,500 results. Then we asked how many of them are bacterial, and we got about 760 of them. And then we asked how many of those bacterial pathways from Metapsych are also in E. coli, and we have about 200. And that's how you can take a search, iterate it to narrow it, iterate it to port it to another database, and there's many more things like that that you can do with the Structured Advanced Query page. So that was a quick overview of the Structured Advanced Query page, a brief look at how to make a query, how to choose your output, and what you can get. Once again, I encourage you to look at the full-length webinar for more detailed instructions and worked examples. I encourage you to look at the documentation, and most of all, I encourage you to play with the Structured Advanced Query page, learn about the databases, learn about the queries, and most of all, learn about the organisms, and get back to us and let us know how it went. Thanks.